G'day viewers, Retro Man here. Today I'll be walking you through some of my 50s and 60s titles in my personal Imprint Blu-Ray collection. Stay tuned for more.
Coming to you from a basement studio somewhere down under, it's the 80s Show with Australia's Retro Man. On tonight's show, Retro Man walks you through his 1950s and 60s Imprint Blu-Ray collection. Well, what are we waiting for? Lights, camera, Retro Man!
G'day viewers, Retro Man here and welcome to the 80s Show. Now today I'll be talking some more about the Imprint Blu-ray label. This is an exciting Blu-ray company from Australia and I've collected some of their titles. I don't have all of them, but today I will be walking you through some of the 50s and 60s Imprint Blu-ray titles that I have in my personal collection. Now let's start with the 50s, guys. I have this film right here. This is Last Train from Gun Hill. This is a fascinating western starring Kirk Douglas and Anthony Quinn. And look at this packaging, guys. This is where Imprint really lifts the game in the boutique Blu-ray market. I mean, you have this outer packaging, this dust jacket, if you will. There's a picture of Kirk Douglas on the back. And you've got the artwork here, which differs from the dust jacket. And there we go, guys. There's a great shot of Kirk inside. I think you can see that. And Last Train from Gun Hill is a great film. I mean, if you like your westerns, this one was a 1959 film, and the Imprint titles actually come with a little number here, and this is number 101 in the Imprint series. And I think this is a great film if you love your westerns. I mean, Kirk Douglas in this plays a US Marshal and his wife is murdered, and guess what, guys? A good friend of his from the past, Anthony Quinn, it is his son that has committed the murder. So these two men are at odds with one another, and it really is a very interesting character study. So I would highly recommend checking out Last Train from Gun Hill. Now let's have a look at another 50s title. This is Secret of the Incas. This film was in fact the inspiration for Steven Spielberg to make those Indiana Jones films that we all love. And this stars Charlton Heston, Robert Young, and it was all shot in Peru. In fact, Machu Picchu is on display in this film in its full glory, and this is a very fascinating adventure film about an adventurer that is searching for an Incan treasure. So check this one out, guys, if you want to see the inspiration behind Indy. That's the artwork inside the box. But this one is number 154, and Secret of the Incas came out in 1954. So let's have a look, guys, at this stack of 60s titles here. Let's kick it off with this one, The Carpetbaggers. This is a very interesting drama. It stars George Peppard, Alan Ladd, Bob Cummings and Carol Baker. It was based on the sensational novel by Harold Robbins, and as you can see, George Peppard is on the cover there. And let's have a look here. We've got some different artwork inside, and there's another great shot of George Peppard. Now, you probably know him, 80s fans, from he was basically the leader of the A-Team in the 80s, but in the 60s he was making movies like this, and he was a bit of a movie star. But yeah, you probably remember him from the A-Team. And Alan Ladd is in this film again with George Peppard. And I've just done a video recently on the Alan Ladd film collection. So this is one that is outside of that world. But this is a film from 1964. It was based on a sensational novel, and for years you couldn't get it anywhere. And Imprint have made this available, and it has an exclusive audio commentary, a theatrical trailer, and also a photo gallery. So if you like 60s dramas, definitely check out The Carpetbaggers. Moving right along now to Major Dundee. This is a great western with Charlton Heston, an all-star cast, really. I mean, Richard Harris is also in this, and you've got James Coburn and others. And this is a Sam Peckinpah film. He's the guy that gave us The Wild Bunch. And this film came out in, let's have a look here, 1965, so a couple of years before The Wild Bunch. And what's great about this release is that you get two Blu-rays. One is the theatrical version, which actually wasn't approved by the director Sam Peckinpah, and you've got the extended version, which lives up to more the image of what Sam Peckinpah wanted to get on the screen with this film. So we get some amazing 4K scans here. There's audio commentaries, there's documentaries included, there's trailers included, and of course we get the two prints of the film. So if you're a fan of your westerns, I highly recommend checking out Major Dundee. It's a sprawling epic, guys, and I'm sure that if you like westerns, this is one to get in your collection. So moving right along now to Rage. This is a Glenn Ford and Stella Stevens film. This is a bit of a quirky film in Glenn Ford's catalogue. I mean, Glenn Ford did a lot of fantastic films over the years, like Blackboard Jungle, The Gazebo, and others. I mean, he did a lot of great westerns. And this is a bit of a exciting little sort of off-kilter thriller in a way, and it pairs him with Stella Stevens. And this film came out in 1966, and it's number 27 on the Imprint label. And have a look at this, guys. The artwork differs, as you can see, and it's very interesting, isn't it? And what we have here is a film about a guy who's actually dying of rabies. I mean, it's a bit of a bizarre plot, and he's in a race against time, Glenn Ford, in this. And it's a beautiful print of the film, and there's also an audio commentary by a film historian, and there's also a visual essay on Stella Stevens, and there's a lot of Stella Stevens admirers out there, so if you're a fan of hers, Rage is the film to get. So this is a neat one to have in the collection. Moving right along now to a really entertaining Italian film. This is a bit of a spy spoof. It's also, you could call it a heist film. It also feels a little bit Batman-ish. This is Danger Diabolic, starring John Philip Law. And a lot of people really adore this film. It's a quirky film. It's a Dino De Laurentiis production. And look at this artwork, guys. Check that out there. Look at that. And this is number 12 on the Imprint label. So this was one of their early releases, and this film came out in 1968. Now, I had this film previously on DVD and kind of upgraded to get it on Blu-ray. And it's got a lot of music in this film. It's got a very quirky music score that sort of gets in your head like an earworm. And there's lots of stunts in this film, and it's got a bit of a psychedelic Batman feel. So guys, all I can say is that if you're looking for something a little left of centre, definitely check out this Italian film, Danger Diabolic. And John Philip Law, you may remember him from Barbarella opposite Jane Fonda. And this is a fun film. It's also directed by Mario Bava, who was famous for a lot of those Italian horror films. Anyway, guys, let's move on to the next one. We've got Kitten with a Whip. This is Ann-Margret and John Forsythe. This is a bit of a sort of teen delinquency film, really. I mean, Ann-Margret is playing a real wildcat in this one. She's one of my favourite Elvis co-stars, this girl, and she was very feisty in the 60s, and she puts in a great performance in this film. This film is very dramatic. It's a little bit stagey, if you will, but this is number 100, and it came out in 1964, and I must say I love the artwork on this one. I mean, that's a great poster, isn't it? And if you check this one out here, I mean, look, great artwork, isn't it? I love how it changes. And inside there we've got a great shot of Anne, black and white still. And what's interesting about this release is it comes with an audio commentary, which is great, but it also comes with a very interesting documentary, and it takes a look at female teenage delinquency in film. And if you're into that sort of stuff, it's a nice extra on this Blu-ray. So, A Kitten with a Whip with Ann-Margret. So let's have a look now at some comedies, guys. This is a Jerry Lewis double pack. This is actually the Columbia Films collection. Jerry Lewis went off and did a couple of films for Columbia, and they're not his best titles, I must admit. The films are The Big Mouth and Hook, Line and Sinker. I'll just open the box up here. Let's have a look. Now, The Big Mouth, that's it there. This is a very bizarre film, and this came out in 1967, and it's number 102. And what can I say? I mean, it's not high art. I mean, this is Jerry Lewis actually writing, directing, producing and starring in a film. And it's kind of a little bit all over the place, but it's a great print of this film. And there's an audio commentary on here. There's also a Super 8 version of the film, which is it's kind of fascinating to watch the Super 8 version because it's a very highly edited version of the film. I think the Super 8 here runs for about 40 minutes. So that's a neat addition. And there's also TV spots and theatrical trailers, and Jerry is involved in those as well. So the second film, as I said, was Hook, Line and Sinker. Now this one came out in 1969. This was a couple of years later. And this one saw Jerry Lewis hook up with Peter Lawford, who was one of the Rat Pack guys, and also Anne Francis plays Jerry's wife in this one. This is a strange film, I must admit, and all the comedy does not work. But it's a lovely print of the film, and if you're a Jerry Lewis collector, I mean, what can you say? I think you need these two films in your collection. So kudos to Imprint for getting these bizarre Jerry Lewis films out there. And look at that packaging. It's a nice hard box, and we've got Jerry there. I mean, he's looking a little older, but these are late 60s films, and he's still giving it his all, but the jokes aren't coming off as well. But if you like Jerry Lewis, this is a must-have. Anyway, guys, we've got one more to take a look at. This is the Odd Couple collection, and this includes 2 movies plus a sample of the Odd Couple TV series. The Odd Couple, of course, when it hit the screen, it starred Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau, and it was a classic film from 1968. I think it really holds up well today. It's very, very funny. And they also did a sequel, and the sequel is in this box. That came out about 30 years later. That's the sequel there. We might talk about that one on another episode. But let's focus on this 68 film. I mean, this was a Broadway play first, and then it made its way to the screen. And it's a Neil Simon film. And Neil Simon is a fascinating writer and director. And when it comes to his work, I would definitely put The Odd Couple up there. I hold this in high regard when it comes to comedies. Jack and Walter, their chemistry simply sparkles. And this film came out in 68. It's number 104 on the Imprint label. And what can I say, guys? The print is absolutely gorgeous. There's also some neat extras on here. So if you're a fan of The Odd Couple, this is a must-have. And this is The Odd Couple on television. What we get here is a neat bonus. I mean, on TV, Tony Randall and Jack Klugman took over, and what we get here is season 1 in high definition, and this is a fascinating watch. I mean, some people, just like Jack and Walter and others, really took to Tony Randall and Jack Klugman, so it's a matter of taste, guys, but this was a very popular TV series in its own right. And of course we have The Odd Couple 2, which I will talk about in a different episode. So anyway, guys, the packaging on The Odd Couple here is simply great. I mean, a nice hard box, and for a collector this looks great on the shelf. I like this type of packaging. Jerry also has the hard box, and of course Major Dundee. I mean, the packaging on this is great as well. I like the way that's done. And what can I say? Imprint do a great job. And there's about 10 titles here in my 50s and 60s Imprint collection. I will add more at some point, but I think they're a lot of fun. And guys, do you collect Imprint titles? I know there's a lot of physical media fans out there. I'm certainly a physical media fan. I mean, you can't go past great movies in high definition. Imprint do a great job.
Meet Diabolic, a bank Robin Hood who baffles the cops. He robs from the rich to give to the girls. Ask Eva.
Oh, you shouldn't have done it.
So anyway, guys, that concludes my walkthrough of 50s and 60s Imprint titles. That was a lot of fun, wasn't it? And I mean, these are fascinating films. If you haven't checked out the Imprint Blu-ray label, definitely do so. I mean, I love the packaging on these. I love the extras, and I think they do a fantastic job. And man, I mean, I just love looking at the box art. A lot of work has gone into these, and they look great on a collector's shelf. So tell me in the comments below what you think of the Imprint Blu-ray label from Australia. I think it's a remarkable label, and I'm looking forward to adding more Imprint titles to my collection. Tell me what you have in your collection. I mean, I've just been through about 10 titles here, and I'm sure, guys, that there are some of you out there that have even more than this. So please share your Imprint collection in the comments below, and keep watching the 80s show, guys, because I have a lot more coming your way. But until next time, this is Retro Man, living the dream, 80s style. Stay gold.
Thanks for watching. Retro Man will return faster than a boomerang, and with more episodes featuring Imprint Blu-rays. Please subscribe, and good night, viewers.